Hey folks, welcome back to Can It Chase Paranormal, and I just wanted to share with you a quick story about one of my earliest experiences of stuff that's like strange. And as I say, I like to use the word paranormal, but when you're so small you don't really kind of think about events and instances being normal or abnormal. So you don't really kind of think about the paranormal aspects of things when you're small. You just take each experience as it comes, and then only when you get a little bit older do you necessarily attach to that some kind of meaning. So, and I can't even remember how old I was, but essentially what would happen, and I was probably about, I can't, maybe 4, 5, 6. I really can't think exactly how old I was, but what used to happen was that I would dream when I was asleep. I would dream that I was floating, and I would float down the stairs. I think we had a downstairs toilet and we had an upstairs toilet. But I would float downstairs, and basically it was, the dream was, I would, having woken up the next day, I had wet my bed, and this is something I shouldn't really admit to, but obviously when you're a child, some things are okay to talk about. So I'd have these dreams all the time that I'd be asleep and then I'd be floating, and I'd float to go to the toilet, and inevitably I wet my bed. Now my mum used to joke with me that if ever there was a time that I didn't wet my bed, she'd put the flags out. I don't know what that meant. I think it was some kind of celebration. And but yeah, you know, this went on, I'm sure this went on till I was about 6 years old or 7 years old. And looking back at it as an adult, I don't know what the psychology or the physiology or the physiological explanations are of that kind of thing. I can only, if I wanted to put some kind of logic to it, I'd say it's probably there's something about your brain that when you're sleeping, it's like it closes off. And I sort of heard this, so it might sound really random and untechnical, but when you go to sleep at night, the reason why we don't all wet our beds is because, you know, the brain controls certain muscles that prevent you from, should I say, urinating, and or worse, and because of that, given normal circumstances, we you know, when we wake up in the morning, we have to go to the loo, or maybe sometimes we'll wake up in the night and we'll realise that we need to go to the loo, and that's, you know, perfectly normal. But when you're a kid, I'm guessing that it's quite possible that my dreams were linked into me needing to go to the toilet, but I didn't quite have that neurological control over my bladder or the muscles at the time. So inevitably, yeah, I used to wet my bed, and I think this is what my mom kind of put it down to for quite a while, that I was wetting my bed because I, you know, basically was sleeping, control my urges, but all the time I had the same dream that I would rise out of the bed, I could see myself on the bed, and I'd float around the house a bit, and my floating around just seemed to get more and more elaborate. So I think it started that I think my first memory of it was just floating around a corridor, or the landing, I should say, by the bedrooms, and woke up wet bed. My further memories was like float down the stairs, float around, wet bed. But the one time I dreamt that I floated down, and then I was floating outside, and it was dark, the street lamps were on, and I floated down the road. I mean, our road used to kind of go down into a dip, then it used to go back up, so it was great actually when it used to rain, because I used to float little sticks down and chase them down the road. because it's like a little river basically going down. So yeah, so basically what happened was that I remember floated out of the house, and I actually floated down the road to where the dip was, just beyond the dip. And I remembered seeing the milkman. Now, I was only young, so the limitations of the people I would probably have met were extremely limited. And, you know, apart from, you know, my mom, my dad, my brothers, I can't say I knew anyone else except for one person, which was the milkman. And the milkman used to, you know, back in them days, everyone had their milk delivered. There wasn't any plastic bottles or anything. So the milkman used to deliver the bottles every day and pick them up and so on and so forth. And the milkman was the only person I'd ever met. So I remember being old enough to be able to tell my mom that I was flying again, and with with a smile on the face, my mom then, you know, would ask me where I was flying to at night, and I told her I flew down the road, and I said I saw the milkman. The milkman was kissing a lady with long dark hair, and but I said that the milkman wasn't dressed as a milkman, but I recognised the milkman's face, and my mom sort of laughed, and that was that. So, but then what turned out was that, my dreams were kind of dismissed as just a vehicle for me to unleash my bladder upon the bed sheets all over again. And I think I even had like a rubber sheet or something underneath so it wouldn't ruin a mattress. I think that's what used to happen in days. I don't know if that still happens now, but we're talking about the 60s or early 70s. So, so that said, my mom then found out that, and she told me this a few years later, that my dream about floating down a road and encountering the milkman with dark hair, with the woman with the dark hair, actually turns out that he was having an affair with a woman with dark hair down the road, and that his wife had blonde hair. So I have no idea how I would have known that, and it was an interesting dream. And so that's one of my earliest memories of I I'm pushed to say it was paranormal, but it occurred so many times that it seemed quite unusual. And after the milkman incident, then that's the reason why I'm going to attach paranormal to this. And my mom did say that she thought I may have been astro traveling, and that sounded absolutely fantastic, except that I didn't actually know what that meant. But it was kind of curious. Now, astro traveling still is something I don't really fully understand, and I don't even know how that would be possible. But and people say they have out of body experiences, and obviously, I think I've heard that when you're quite young, you are more susceptible to the unseen world, if you like. You can sort of see, you know, people say, I've heard it said that children see spirits, like animals can see spirits and children see spirits. And so yeah, that was my first experience of paranormal, and I hope to kind of bring you more of my experiences that may mean, you know, that might sort of ring a bell with some of you, but because they're kind of strange, but they feel normal at the time, as I've said. So I hope you enjoyed that little story of me wetting my bed when I was very very small, well, quite small anyway. So yeah, hopefully I'll have an investigation coming for you soon. I've just been out on an investigation last Saturday, and it was at a new location on the Cannock Chase, and I'm hoping to go through some of the footage. The footage won't be great because we were doing quite a bit of walking, and I was having to like kind of reach around for walkie-talkies and stuff. So, but it was more of a recce anyway, and it sort of yielded some interesting results. A few things happened which were unexpected. but yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. So take care of yourselves, have a great week, and I'll hopefully speak to you all soon.